Welcome to Tips for the Transition, where we have deep, meaningful conversations about life. We talk about how significant changes like divorce, grief, and career change can affect us, our family, our relationships, and our work, and how to move beyond them. I'm your host, Maria Tomás-Keegan, certified career and life coach for women, and I'm here to support you through the messy seasons of life so you can answer big questions like who am I now and how do I move on from here? If you're ready to consider new options, be inspired, and meet incredible women who are on this life journey with us, you're in the right place. You'll find something in each episode to give you hope and encourage you to move from panic to powerful, from rocky to resilient, and from upside down to right side up. This is Tips for the Transition. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the podcast. I'm so happy that you joined us. I'm Maria Tomás-Keegan, your host, career and life coach for women. You know, I often say that I am really passionate about a couple of things when it comes to working with professional women. And the first one is helping you create a life and career that fulfills you because you don't deserve to stay stuck where you don't belong. And the second thing is introducing you to inspiring women who come here onto the podcast to act as role models and resources for you to help you explore different aspects of career transition and the practices and tips that they can share with us. So if something strikes a chord as you're listening today, check out the show notes below for ways to connect with us, follow us, subscribe, and I'd love it if you would leave a comment. Let us know what you're thinking and how you're feeling about what you hear. Now, we frequently talk about self-care on this show because busy professional women like us need to hear about it, maybe more than once, and get different perspectives and approaches to it. We're all different, and our situations are different, and what works for me may not work for you. But it's essential to figure out what does work for each of us so that we can show up every day being at our best for our families and being inspired leaders who can create a ripple effect in our communities and create positive change for our organizations. Now, that might sound like a tall order, right? But maybe not. That's why I invited Serena Sabala to join us. Serena is a certified nutrition consultant, yoga teacher, and fitness trainer who has studied wellness and nutrition for over a decade and has a unique holistic approach to health. She is the author of the highly rated book, Make the Shift, a proven method for busy professionals to transform their health, well-being, and confidence. So we call this episode Make the Shift and Spark the Change. So we're going to hear more about that from Serena, who's joining us right now. Hello, Serena.
Hello.
I'm so happy to have you here. It's so good to have this conversation once again, but in a different way.
Absolutely. An absolute pleasure. The first conversation was already incredibly inspiring. So I'm excited to share and expose it to your listeners.
That's wonderful. All right. Let's get started by hearing a bit of your backstory. Why is helping busy professional women like us such a passion for you?
Yeah, it's a great question that takes me all the way back to when I was just a 9-year-old girl living in Italy with my family. And my father, who at the time was a brilliant entrepreneur and business owner, very creative mind, he invented an entire profession that didn't even exist before his time. Suddenly he got very sick, and I realized now that was due to him not having the tools required to be able to juggle the responsibilities of a creative and fast-growing business, a young family, etc., etc. And so, yes, he got very sick, and he ended up losing everything he'd worked so hard for, which had devastating consequences on his life, my life, and the life of so many individuals who were connected with him. And I now realize that back then that planted a seed in my consciousness as to how fundamental our health and well-being is to everything that we do in this life, all the roles that we're looking to fulfill, all the responsibilities that we carry on our shoulders. And I started from then on pursuing this quest of figuring out what are the modalities that allow us to take the best possible care of ourselves. First, I did so just on a personal level to take better care of myself, and in light of the challenges that I was experiencing in my personal life. And then this passion eventually became a profession. And nutrition was always, growing up, quite a contentious subject, and even a challenging one for very many years, especially my adolescent years. So I learned a lot of what not to do through personal experience. And I decided that eventually I wanted to pursue it professionally and share all my learnings, and turn this journey of self-discovering into one that could empower others and fast track their own results, so they didn't have to endure everything that I had endured, essentially.
Yeah, it's a story I hear frequently about how we are impacted
Yes.
by something that happened to us at a young age when it happened to someone we love.
Yes.
It's so often that I hear that's the kind of the impetus for us to do what we do today. So I'm so glad you shared that. Thank you for that. Now, you talked about foundations. In your book, you talk about three foundational pillars of well-being.
Yeah.
Can you tell us what they are and why are they so foundational for you?
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. I mean, myself and my husband have been doing this now for over 20 years combined, transforming the well-being of over 500 professionals across 5 countries. This has allowed us to develop a proven method that will shift you to your most fit, healthy, and confident self in anywhere between 3 months to a year, depending on where you're at and where you're headed. Through the development of our proven methodology, we were able to identify what we believe are the three most fundamental pillars of optimal health and well-being. So if you imagine your most fit, healthy, and confident self as living atop a tripod, which is a structure with 3 legs, you need each of these 3 legs to be equally as strong as the others in order for the tripod to be strong as a whole. If even just one of the 3 legs is a little bit weaker, the whole structure is weak and it either wobbles or it falls down altogether. And we see it time and again, even busy professionals who are doing what they perceive is their best to take care of their health and well-being are all neglecting at least one of the 3 legs of the tripod, which, by the way, we call the 3 F's: focus, food, and fitness. So the optimal health and wellness routine will allow you to strengthen and to care for all 3 pillars in a way that is sustainable, systematic, and bespoke to your unique needs, inclinations, challenges. But you've gotta tackle all three. The moment you neglect one of the 3 pillars, the whole structure feels weaker. So you feel wobbly when it comes to health and well-being. You experience breakdowns, or you don't achieve the goals that you know you can and should, and you feel disempowered in that space.
I love that. I talk about a three-legged stool a lot in my coaching as well. And for you, focus, food, and fitness are the three pillars and the 3 legs of your tripod. Um, and I love how you say that if we're not addressing all three of them kind of equally, right? So so that there is a firm foundation under us, then we become weakened in some ways. So if we're not focusing on the fitness part of it enough, that's my that's my problem, and or the food, then our health takes a toll. So
Absolutely.
tell me a little bit more about the focus part of it.
Yeah, the focus sadly is the one that we most often see undeveloped, simply due to a lack of awareness around, first of all, exactly what it is, and secondly, what do we need to do to make it better? And what we mean by focus, a whole shift wellness, is anything to do with your mindset and mindfulness. Because let's be honest, our mind needs as much, if not more, training than our body does. And if we leave the mind to its own devices, it will continue to run based on the habits that it has developed up until this point, which you might or might not be present with, and they may or may not serve who you're looking to become and the goals that you're looking to achieve in your life. So your mind requires a very deliberate, educated, and systematic approach to remain focused, essentially, and to remain healthy and to remain well balanced. And by the way, when we say developing a strategy that is balanced, we don't mean that you need to do an hour on each of the three pillars, because some people are more naturally strong on one or two, or they've already done a lot of work on one or two of the pillars. However, they might be neglecting another one, and that's what's causing the imbalance. So actually, what might be needed to begin with is to spend a little more attention on the leg that is weaker for you, in order to create a healthier balance across the three, and then you can continue either maintaining or evolving all three. So it's all very bespoke. It all depends on where you're at. And say, for instance, if fitness is the area with most room for improvement for you, perhaps you would need to spend a couple of weeks just delving deeper into your fitness habits and establishing better ones, just to give an example.
Yeah, I think that's so important to make a note about that. So much of what happens for us or doesn't is directed by how we think about it. So that focus piece of it, the mindset and the awareness is a great place to start. So let's talk about challenges. What are some of the most common challenges you see with your clients?
So the first two that come to mind, which time and again they show up and they cripple the progress of our shifters, are essentially the two opposites. The first one is that they are present with the fact that they're not fulfilling their potential when it comes to health and well-being. They come to us fully aware and completely knowing that they are in a very disempowered place when it comes to taking care of themselves. They don't prioritize it. They continuously neglect it. They're probably starting to experience some negative side effects as a result of these, whether it's mild ones such as stress, anxiety, lack of energy, overweight, or even more extreme ones, insomnia, mental health challenges, burnout, uh, pain, disappointment, but they don't do anything about it. They view it as such a massive mountain to climb, as such a big hurdle to overcome, that they feel so completely overwhelmed by it, they don't take any action whatsoever. So they remain stuck in that very same place where things can only continue to degenerate. The second most common challenge, it's the complete opposite, which is what I call the New Year resolution challenge, whereby for whatever reason, whether it's because it's January and they want to start a new year with new energy, or because they've read a book that has inspired them, or they've went to a workshop, or a friend has motivated them, they decide that now it's time to take action. And in doing so, they actually create a strategy that is so extremely different from their current lifestyle, completely unsustainable, at least painful to endure, if not straight out dangerous. And so they do start, they throw themselves in at the deep end. And because it is so unsustainable, they either quit too soon or they revert back once they've achieved their results, or they might even hurt themselves along the way and have to stop because of that. So we see these two polar opposites happen time and again in our profession, and they're equally dangerous.
Yeah, I can see that. I can see that. And I think I have experienced both of those
Yeah, absolutely.
at one time or another, right? And it's hard to get unstuck
Yes.
from the feeling like it's an overwhelming hurdle
Yes.
to overcome.
Yeah.
All right, so you also talk about common myths. So that intrigues me. So tell us a little bit about what these common myths are and how do they get in the way of most of the professionals that you see?
I mean, there are so many in the health and wellness industry. I could write a book just on that, to be honest, especially revolving around nutrition. You know, there are some very detrimental myths revolving around nutrition, which really get in the way and used to get in my way, to be honest. If I am completely honest, I know them firsthand. I've experienced them firsthand. The myth around carbs make you fat, the myth around the more protein you eat, the healthier you are. You know, the myth around if low fat diets allow you to lose weight. The myth around cardio allows you to lose weight. So the more cardio you do, the more weight you lose, you know. And then there's all those kind of gray areas such as cleanses, juices, fasting, and intermittent fasting, which are double-edged swords in that they are tools that when used appropriately they can deliver positive results, but because most generally they are not used properly, they end up becoming very detrimental and actually setting us back whether we realize it or not. And those myths are so deeply embedded in our consciousness, and some of them are marketed to us on a day-to-day basis, like carbs make you fat. You know, wherever you look, that message is loud and clear. Protein is like this mythical nutritional kind of mythical nutritional gold star, whereby the more protein you consume as a nutrient, the healthier you'll be. That people are selling protein enhanced water these days. That's as far as this myth has gotten. So they become realities in our mind. They become unquestionable. And so they get in our way without us even realizing. We are completely hardwired to skip the carbs, triple down on the protein. If something says high protein, we assume that it's good for us and that it's going to allow us to become healthier or fitter or leaner. And the cardio one, the same thing. Or in general, just the kind of those very high intensity workouts. We think that the harder we work out, the healthier we'll be, or the more or the quicker we will get the results that we are after, when actually sometimes the very opposite is true. You know, that a very extreme workout might be tipping us even more out of balance in a way that is not conducive to our overall health and well-being. So yeah, these are just some of the most common ones that I see working against us, especially busy ladies.
I've heard them all. I've believed them all.
Yeah.
I've tried them all.
Yeah.
And what happens is this yo-yo effect, right? And never really finding the foundation, that firm foundation that you speak about. So let's talk about what makes your approach different.
Yes. Well, frankly, it's a perfect segue because there isn't a one size fits all when it comes to health and well-being. There isn't a magic pill, there isn't a perfect solution. There is only one of you in this world. There's only one Maria, there's only one Serena, there's only one Amy, one Lara, one John. There is just one of you in this world. Not one other person is made exactly the way you are made, has experienced exactly what you have experienced, has your preferences, your inclinations, your challenges, your background culturally, societally, your job. So, although there are universal principles to optimal health and well being, which apply to each and every single human being, so long as you're a human being, they will apply to you. There's only one of you. So it is important to have an approach and develop a strategy which is science based and encompasses all the universal principles of optimal health and well-being, but that is also human centric, that has you at the center of it, and that is completely bespoke to your uniqueness, so that it fits you seamlessly like a tailor-made suit the moment you wear it. Our approach revolves around you, and our structure will fit you seamlessly in your life as it is right now from the get-go. And as you continue to evolve and progress and transform, we go in like a tailor would, and we make little adjustments to it so that it will continue to fit you seamlessly all the way through to your greatest level of health, fitness, well-being, and mind-body confidence. Um, and it's a very unique way that we go about achieving this. We leverage a proven 5 steps methodology that is by now fail proof. It's worked for individuals of all walks of life, 5 countries, all professions, a very large age range, all genders, because it is so bespoke.
I love tailored to you like a suit. I love that. I love the image that conjures because that's something that I think so many are lacking because of all of the myths that are out there, and then all of the trends and the fads. I want to talk about that in a second. Um, but finding what works for us individually is, I guess, the key. And that's something that honestly I have not done, is worked with someone like you who can tailor my suit for me so that I don't continue on the yo-yo
Yes.
that I've been on, frankly, all my life. So it's intriguing for
Yeah.
me, and I have read your books. I am
Well,
looking,
if
yeah.
if my if my book is the way in which you measure whether we potentially are the right fit or not, because if my language speaks to you and if you feel that tug in your heart as you read through it, and if it resonates, it's also normal if some areas feel a bit confronting. It kind of it's showing that perhaps those are the areas where there's room for improvement, but the overall nature of the language that I speak should really resonate, and that's how you know whether I am the right person for you or
Right.
not, you know,
Yeah.
because we're not here to work with everyone, and we're not the right fit for everyone. Like I said,
Of course.
it needs to be the right match. But when it is, which is in every case of us working with somebody, what you experience is truly transformational and life changing.
And so many are looking for the quick fix. And from what you've explained, the tweaking and the nipping and tucking like a tailored suit is something that happens over time. And there is this evolution of
Right.
improvement based on where you put your focus, right?
Yeah.
And how you pay attention to those 3 pillars. So let's talk about some of the trends and the fads that are out there today in the wellness industry. What should we pay attention to, and what should we avoid?
So, generally speaking, anything which claims to deliver very radical, drastic results in a very short period of time uh, tends to carry another side to it. It's a big red flag whenever I see something that claims to deliver almost unbelievable results in a very short period of time. Because the truth of the matter is, transformation takes time, like we were just saying. And this is, by the way, this is what you achieve when you go through our methodology. It's not a superficial change. It's transformation at the root level, so that whatever new results you acquire through the process are yours for the rest of your life. So if you are after that lifelong lasting transformation, you should really be very careful of anything that claims to carry very extreme results, to deliver very extreme results in a very short period of time. Because the body needs time to register improvements. And so, generally speaking, if you're achieving too extreme results too quick, those are not second nature to you. So the moment you stop whatever it is that you're doing, you'll either go back to where you were at, if not further back, right? And you might even hurt yourself along the way.
Yeah.
Those tend to be the things that you need to really be wary of. Generally speaking, the things to pay attention to are the things that honor the way in which the body works, the things that are designed to bring harmony and balance rather than keep you in a state of extremeness and imbalance. They are the things that educate you along the way. So they don't just tell you what to do and that's it, go home and do it. They explain why, how it works, why it's good for you. So that in acquiring the education, you're making those principles yours. You know, you're not just like following a script. You are literally understanding and digesting these principles and making them yours, so that eventually you can sustain them for the rest of your life on your own. So whatever is designed as something that will empower you and create independence rather than codependence are the things that you want to, keep your eyes and mind open towards. Um,
I love the way you said, that you educate us about what is good for us, and what that made me think about is then we get to make the
yes,
choice, right?
yes,
We get to make the choice to follow it or not follow it, to
100%.
and to hopefully be aware of the effect of
Mm,
following it versus not following it has on us, how it makes us feel, what it makes us think about. Those are the kinds of things that, frankly, we're both coaches. So, we're talking to our clients about recognizing, being aware, learning, and applying, right? What they learn, and then figuring out whether it fits for us or it doesn't fit for us. And do we have to make a tweak or a nip or a tuck, right, to make
100%.
it work better for us? I love
Yes.
I love your strategy. I love the methodology that you speak about. I love your three-legged stool, your tripod, as you call it. It all makes a lot of sense to me. And I
Yeah.
hope it's making sense to our audience as well. I think that there's a lot to be said for the approach you take, which is quite honestly very practical.
Yes.
It's very foundational, right? It's grounded, grounded in science and grounded in just good sense,
Yes,
good common
absolutely.
sense. Yeah.
I love results. I love results just as much as the next person. I'm not here to say that you shouldn't be after your results. And that's sometimes what people hear when I am discouraging them to embark on some quick fix. It's not that I don't want you to get the results. I want you to get them and own them for the rest of your life, as opposed to
Right.
get them just and have them for just one weekend.
Right.
How
Right.
how much time have we wasted on quick fixes in our life? How much? I mean, I've spent decades on them, decades, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
Whereas if you do the right thing and you stick with it, overall, you are actually saving time.
Yeah, I'm thinking so often, I'm thinking about members of my family, and myself included, years ago, would say, "Oh, I have this reunion to go to in a couple of months, or I have this wedding, or some special occasion, and I want to look my best for it." So we work towards that goal, and then once the event is over, it's like we go back to all our own old patterns and habits, and we end up where we were, or as you said, even in a worse situation than when we started that short term, the journey to the short term goal.
Yeah, it's very common. It is very common, and don't
Yeah.
we shouldn't demonize ourselves for it. So a
No.
part of it is human nature, right?
Yep.
Instead, we can, and it's great to have such a tangible goals as an event. We can still leverage that, but still in an intelligent way. Yes, I'll use the event to spark the shift and to start the momentum and to start heading in the right direction. But I will do so responsibly and intelligently and with a long-term vision of wanting to create something that will be mine even once the event is over.
Yeah.
You can have both,
Yeah.
essentially.
Yeah. That's great. That's good to know. That's really good to know. All right. So, as we always do at the end of every episode, we end with a segment of tips from my guest. That's why we call the show Tips for the Transition. So, I would love to hear what you can offer our audience who may be just getting started on their journey to improved health, or maybe they have tried it a whole bunch of times before and they want to be encouraged to get started again.
Yes.
What's your first tip?
My first tip is start right now. Today. Don't wait until tomorrow. Don't wait until Monday. Don't wait until next month. Do something new right now on the back of what you've heard, on the back of whatever has inspired you in this conversation. Take one small, tiny action in a new direction right now. As soon as you're done with this episode, just take action. Leverage the momentum created by this conversation to just take one tiny new step in a new direction. Trust me, it takes just one tiny step in a new direction to completely alter the course of your life for the better. So don't procrastinate and don't hesitate. Do something small, but do something that can feel like a win and can feel like progress and that you can action on right this moment. That's my first step.
I love that. I love that. And because it really only takes one small change, right? One little shift, as we talked about, right? To shift something in your daily routine and do it a little bit differently with an intention, right?
Correct.
That this is something that, and the other thing, if I may, I'd love to add to that. After you've done that, stop and take a look at how it made you feel.
Yes. Be
Because
present.
when you get a feeling of success or accomplishment, then you can use that as motivation to do that again,
Absolutely.
and then decide
Leverage.
what step number 2 is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Leverage the positive momentum. I always say to our shifters, success is your greatest motivator. So the
Yes.
more you feel like you're succeeding at something, the more you're gonna want to stick with it and continue to do it and continue to do it even better.
Right.
So take notice, and this could be tip number 2 as you embark on a new journey in a tiny little way. It could simply be just getting a book and doing the exercises in the book over the course of a month. It could be as simple as that. Tiny little step, and then leverage the wins. Acknowledge every single time that you pick it up and read a paragraph, and acknowledge yourself for it, and leverage those wins to continue to win even more and even more.
I love that. Yep. Leverage the win. Leverage. Yeah. Because motivation is everything, isn't it?
Fundamental.
Feeling demotivated
Mm.
about something because it didn't work before, or try something new.
Yeah.
If it didn't work before, that didn't work. Yeah, that's why I said at the beginning, we are, and so did you, we are all unique individuals, and what works for one doesn't necessarily work for another. Uh, and I don't want to steal your thunder. I don't know what your third tip is, but don't compare yourself to anybody else.
Very good. That's very good. My third one, actually, no, that's a very good one, by the way, because we said it and we couldn't be saying it too much. But you're so unique that if you try and do what works for your sister or your mother or your cousin, just because it works for them, it doesn't mean that it's necessarily going to work for you. That's another very common mistake I see
Yeah,
do. And then you try it, it doesn't work for you, and you think that the problem is you. You're the
yeah,
failure.
yeah.
When it's just not the right fit. That's the problem. That's simple. But the other thing that I want to encourage everybody to do is to remain open. You know, don't let however many failures close your heart and prevent you from seeing possibilities in this space and from remaining open and optimistic that you will, not only can you, but you will figure it out. You will find the thing that works for you. You will achieve the results that you're after. Never give up on yourself. Ever. Life is not about that. So never give up hope, never give up on yourself. Stay open, stay curious, and trust that the right solution is out there for you. It's just a matter of finding it.
Yeah, that's so, I think you're so right. So many people do give up on themselves. I have experienced that. Certain ages in my life, I've said, "Oh, this is as good as it's going to get."
Yes.
And what I've learned is that's not true. It can always get better. And if we don't give up trying, give up on ourselves, as you say, then I think we have a better chance at finding what works for us. And when we do, I look at my very best friend is so fit, it's sickening. Kind of like you, Serena, but she does a lot of things that are just not me. They're not in me. And I've often thought, well, I'll go with Maureen and I'll do what Maureen does. And I will never be a size zero. That's just not who I am. And figuring out, feeling okay with who I am and not giving up is, you've
Mm.
motivated me today. I'm really happy we've had this conversation.
I'm so glad. That's brilliant. That's already worth the while.
Yeah. Great. Thank you. Serena, I love that you've been so generous today with your stories, with your tips for us all throughout this episode. I really appreciate you being here and for sharing your time, which is precious to all of us. We're all so busy these days, but I want to thank you for sharing the 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 plan you laid out for us. And I want people to keep in mind this image of being fitted for a suit for yourself and taking the nips and the tucks where you need to take them, so that whatever you choose to do for your health and well-being and your fitness and your confidence, that it's tailor-made for you, so that you have success in this. Serena, I know that a lot of our viewers are going to want to reach out to you. So tell us, what is the very best way that they can do that?
Well, our website is very effective, wholeshiftmethod.com. And interestingly, you can download a free Kindle or PDF copy of my book from the website. So that's immediately kind of a low-hanging fruit that you can go and pick, and it's a no-brainer to do. Then obviously we're also quite active on social media. This conversation is being streamed as we speak on our YouTube channel, which is Whole Shift Wellness. And we're also on Instagram as Whole Shift Wellness, and on Facebook, the same thing.
And all of those links will be in the show notes so that you can click on them and get right to Serena. Thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it. I love listening to your wonderful accent, and you're so gracious for being here. I really appreciate it.
It's a genuine pleasure. Thanks for having me.
And everyone else, thank you for watching and listening. I appreciate that you're a part of this community. So if you did enjoy this episode, please leave a comment, share what resonated, click a star if there's a star rating where you are. I love creating and sharing resources for professional women who feel stuck in their careers or in their lives. So if something in this episode struck a nerve, I invite you to continue the conversation. As I said, the links to connect with Serena and me are below. And I also invite you to join my private Facebook group and continue the conversation there. It's called the Career Transition Roadmap. So look for that link below as well. So join me next time, next Wednesday, same time, same place, because you know what? I believe it's our time to thrive. So let's thrive together. Till next time, I'm Maria Tomás-Keegan, helping you turn transition into triumph.